Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be the fourth time I'm trying to record this video because I can't ever seem to find the exact way to express the idea, the thought behind this video to a degree that I'm happy with. That said, let's try again. First things first, we're fully aware that there is a plethora of issues in the game, and seemingly the breaking point has been the balance update of the Spider-Woman, especially with the whole gaslighting that Kabam did and lying in the post about it, and then, you know, somewhat backtracking it. But overall, it kind of was the straw that broke and made a lot of things kind of cascade, because in general, there are plenty of things wrong with the game that Kabam, you know, should absolutely address, and if they don't, well, we're not gonna have a game for that much longer, in my opinion. And I truly hope that they do, because I do wish the best for Kabam. The better the game does, the better for me, you know, easier to make videos, more people want to watch them, all of that good stuff. And this is also not going to be a discussion about champion design philosophy and the recent tools that Kabam has been using, designing, you know, defenders and all of that stuff. Volatility recently made a very good video. It was like half an hour long. Watched it and agreed with just about everything in that video, because I myself have said all of those things on this channel about, you know, the design ideas of, you know, removing champions masteries, or just effectively adding a whole bunch of nodes in the champion's kit, and then adding extra nodes on top of them, and then effectively creating a plethora of situations where the fights are not hard, but impossible to do unless you have like a specific counter. It is just not fun. It is very much so ruining the game. And, you know, Kabam really fucked up with that thought process. And we all know the champs, you know, the photons, the serpents, the bullseyes, the enchantresses, and so on and so forth. That is a big issue, and Kabam has to address it moving forward, in my opinion. But in this video, I want to more so talk about the champion quality, and perhaps more specifically, perception of the newly released champions. Because as soon as community at large perceives the new champions to be mid, the game kind of drops in excitement and enthusiasm. And if Kabam happens to release a handful of those champions in a row, the game always automatically basically kind of feels boring and dead. And I fully understand that not every champion can be insane and amazing and crazy and the best at everything. That is absolutely true. Otherwise, you know, power creep would be too fast. But it still exists in MCOC. It's impossible to deny. Additionally, one thing that we all kind of agreed in first half of this year was that Kabam has been overall doing a very good job with champion designs. It was like one of the few upsides that I have praised Kabam recently, where the new champions kind of felt better. They felt more simple to use, they were effective. You know, Okoye, that is simple to use, you know, just use level 1s or level 2s, but that was more handy, hit opponent, die. You know, Gentle is also fairly straightforward to use. Then we have like a defender, a failed experiment, if anything. You know, Jean Grey is not hard to use, Bastion is not hard to use. Spider-Woman is also a straightforward, great champion. And we kind of got a whole line of champs that are, you know, fairly easy to use, with, you know, flexible rotations to a degree in most of them. And, you know, not too much timer watching in most cases. And in general, powerful, good champions we like. And here's going to be like, I know, the most shocking and revolutionary thing that I'm going to tell everybody. People like strong champions. People like big damage numbers. People like, you know, crazy dots or some, you know, cheesy interactions, and because that is fun, right? Like, to me, like, one of the most fun champions ever created was Carnage, like, after his tune-up. I know he's not a good or a great champion, but, you know, that's the lack of utility, really. But on Carnage, you know, a ton of bleeds, a ton of yellow numbers, opponent's health bar just leaking out. That's fun. You know what's really not fun for me, for example, is somebody like, you know, Solvark even. You know, do 15 medium, light, medium combos, build up 3 bars of power, drop a level 2 or a level 1, I don't even remember, then, you know, drop another special, then build up to level 3, and then boom, something. That is not particularly fun. And that's, you know, not the only example. You know, endless amounts of, you know, champion unique timers to look at, extra unique timers to look at the opponent to make sure, like, my debuffs or passives haven't fallen off, and then, you know, 50 other things that I have to do. That's not fun. Like, Beta Bill is kind of like example of a champion that I personally don't enjoy. You know, it's like build up shocks, hope to get lucky. You know, if you need that grit, then, you know, drop a heavy and then build up to level 2 to get more shocks, and then time your special attack in exact moment. It's not fun to me. But what is fun is nuking things, watching health bars disappear, big interactions. And that's, again, not to say the champion has to be OP in order to be fun, but that helps. Because if a champion is just fun like Carnage, and I don't ever really get to use him, it doesn't benefit me. If a champion is just OP like Onslaught, and is definitely not fun to use, you know, I'm not particularly enjoying those fights either. It has to be a healthy, good mix of being fun and, you know, good. And then we get Okoyas, and then we get Gentles, and then we get, you know, Jeans and Spider-Womans, and then we get Caroline and Deans. And that makes the game feel very nice and alive and good, because then there are things for you to chase, because champions are at the very core of this game. You know, obviously we need content for these champions to kind of land, but you do have to have champions in the first place. And with that comes you having fun from using these champions. Then there's also the aspect of you chasing them and the mechanics you acquire them, which, by the way, I think the current Titan Crystal mechanic and, you know, 3 months wait time until it's out, it's shit. I think it is also kind of killing the excitement for the game, where you have to wait such a long time to get your hands on a champion, and not even guaranteed to get those champions. So I think that's not a good system at all, which again is something that I spoke on at the time. But I think, you know, current 7-star addition to the game is not great. But at the very least, if Kabam releases, you know, Okoyas, Gentle, Zolas, and Jeans and Spider-Womans, like the current Titan Crystal, people want that crystal, people, you know, chase the shards, and people are, you know, often happy to pull something from it. With the exception of very few champions, you know, Titan Crystal is great, and if you don't have most of the champions in there, or a significant portion, Titan Crystal is one of those things that you very much look forward to getting and opening, and then you get a Jean Grey, and then you rank her up immediately, and then, you know, you like the game. You're enjoying it, and it feels meaningful and feels purposeful, because you have pulled a new champion, and you feel like that champion's going to make a difference to your, you know, strength, to your roster strength, and it's also going to provide you with fun and enjoyment, because this is a game after all. All of that goes away when Kabam does this. And here, for the purpose of this video, I want you to cut the line in between Caroline and Dean and everything on the right side. And I'm going to go as far as to say that everything on the left side from Caroline and Dean released this year, with the sole exception of Joaquin Torres, is, you know, good. It's a good addition to the game for the most part, or at the very least meaningful and impactful addition to the game. I think Dark Phoenix is a bullshit mechanic defender, but there's undeniable, you know, strength and usefulness in that. And other than that, Caroline, Dean, Nico, Yelena, you know, Lumitrix, Spider-Woman, Bastion, Jean Grey, Gentle, and Okoye, all of those are champions you want to have. All of those are champions you see and interact with daily. All of those are champions that you can rank up and you will find use for them. And all of those are champions that, you know, to varying degrees feel meaningful to have and acquire, because all of them are well within top 10 of their respective class. In many cases, you know, top 5 or even top 2. And that kind of, I think, gave extra life, and that is also part of the thing that kind of masked the issues in the game, because as long as the champions were good and useful and interesting, we can overlook a lot because we still had fun, and again, it felt meaningful to acquire them. And as I also said before, strong champions with a lot of damage, great, right? Okoye is like awesome. And then let's take a look at everything to the right from Caroline Dean. Whoops. We have the Maker. And this is the part where a lot of people are going to get pissed off at me. And I'm not going to go out and say that any of these champions are awful or unusable. Obviously, they are not. We are long past the time of Iron Patriot, which is effectively just like, a beat stick with no abilities. All of these champions have abilities. All of them have places and times and matchups and fights where they are useful for sure. But what I'm talking about more so is that every single new champion released in this game exists in competition with another. And that is effectively how you choose who you chase, who you invest in, who you dedicate your time to learn, you dedicate your catalyst to rank up. And dare I say that basically nothing, starting from the Maker to the right side, has a significant impact on any account. Again, Maker and Cassandra No and Solo Samurai and Mr. Knight and Dracula obviously are capable of doing things. But I don't think there's just about anything they do the best. I don't think just about any one of these champions you must have and can't do without. Solvark is kind of popping on defense recently. I'll give you that in a couple of metas. He's been like a great defender. But other than that, and like again, even that's kind of, I suppose, debatable. Everything here is kind of mid or below mid or, somewhat good. Now let's break it down quickly. So we have the Maker. Which again, are you happy pulling the Maker from the current Titan Crystal? I think I have a triple dupe the Maker. That's a 7-star rank 1, and I'm like, whatever. Maybe I'll rank him up at some point if he's good for some very specific things, but I mean, absolutely no rush to do that. Number 1, because I don't perceive him to be particularly strong. Number 2, because I definitely don't perceive him to be like a fun and cool champion. High Evolutionary. I have him ranked up 100% just because of prestige. So as somebody who has a rank 4 Sync 200 Maker for prestige, he's mid as fuck on defense, mostly lost me matches, and awful on attack. And also a definition of a champion that I don't enjoy using with his, rotation and timers and whatnot. Then we have Solvark, who's objectively garbage on attack, with a very shitty offensive rotation. Only, meaning from him in the game is defense, and therefore I have taken him to rank 3, but he's not the type of champion I'm super, hyped or excited about. And Cassandra Nova. She's fine. I did pull her. I did kind of rank her up to mess with her, but, I don't find her exciting. I don't perceive her to be a chase champion or a must-have champion, and I'm definitely not having a ton of fun using her either. I think she could be a good champion if she gets a tune-up, but I still don't necessarily perceive her to be a very, fun, cool champion. Solo Samurai is probably arguably the best one here, and this is also what is going to come in the new Titan Crystal, and also the reason why I'm not saving for the new Titan Crystal. I'm going to open some Titan Crystals now, and then I'm just probably going to save for the change after. It's going to be half a year, which again highlights the problem with Titan Crystals, because if Kabam releases 4 or 5 champions that are bad in a row, your choices are cash in now or save for half a year, which is boring, and Kabam should not want to encourage people to do that. But let's go. Still a Samurai. Do I think he's awful? No. Do I think he's good? Yeah, kind of. Do I think I need to have him? No, I don't. In between Jean Grey, Onslaught, and a whole bunch of other champions, I think they do what he does similarly well, if not better, and, typically has, had more defensive value. And if I had him, would I rank him up? Maybe. Am I like rushing or trying to get him in order to have the chance to rank him up and use him? Absolutely not. It's fine. And that's as good as it goes, because then we have Mr. Knight, who, I just don't like. I don't like his playstyle. I don't think he's particularly good. I think everything he does, either Hitmonkey or Mantis does better. Basically, Hitmonkey nukes everything faster than he does, with crits if you want. And then there's like Mantis that has Tranquilize and better debuff control. So if I pulled him right now, would I rank him up? Fuck no. Like, he'd stay 7-star rank 1, and how much, I'd more likely rank up my either Hitmonkey or Crossbones rank 4. So, yeah, don't care, not excited. Dracula, and similar, I actually like Dracula. I like the way he's designed. I like the idea behind him. He's just not good enough. If I pulled Dracula right now, would I rank him up? Nope. Because there are plenty of other champions that I think are stronger and better than he is. And therefore, automatically, I'm not particularly excited to chase him. And it's similar case Frankencastle. Well, it's a reverse. I actually think he's, probably more decent than most of these others, but his playstyle kind of looks shit. I never like playstyle where you have to get hit in the face, and I'm just not super hyped for it. And again, this is a part where I'm going to say it's not necessarily whether these champions are good or not. It's also the perception or, excitement for them. And, some of these champions later down the line might turn out to be good, which is, good enough to a point where people chase them. But it doesn't matter right now. And therefore, again, I have very little interest in, opening crystals for any of these champions, so I didn't. I have very little interest in saving up tiny crystals for these, so I'm not gonna anymore. And when I do pull them, it's more than likely that, I'm just not gonna care that much. And, if Mr. Knight's gonna appear in my tiny crystal, it's likely that I'm not gonna be particularly happy about it. And that is the problem. That is also like a massive, massive issue with this whole thing. When Kabam has a row of poor additions to the game, it takes away joy from, the fights themselves. It takes away joy from, chasing and opening crystals. It takes away joy or hope or excitement that you look forward to, getting these champions and seeing them in action. And it immediately makes the game feel more flat. And again, not every champion can be a Spider-Woman. Not every champion can be a Nico. And they don't have to be. That's kind of the key aspect there. Because there are plenty of champions that are not necessarily the best, that are still fun. And then, are these super fun champions? I'd argue not really. Which, to me, is, again, very surprising that 10 plus years in, we are kind of facing these issues. You would have thought that Kabam in this time would have kind of realized what players like and what type of champions players like, rather than, what kind of weird, quirky mechanic we can add. New mechanics are cool, but they're incorporated in a good way. But very little here is. So whilst I will absolutely say that first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, first 6 months of the year, up until June, Kabam was absolutely cooking with the new champions. I will say that the last 4 months, Kabam has been dropping the ball hard, which just adds to the game feeling bad. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about